Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 131 today, and we are coming up on Easter. We're coming up on finally, at least for us, feeling like spring. I think last week it was within that week, spring actually sprung on the calendar. But it didn't really show itself on this side of the world in Michigan. It really was just kind of like, you know.
I'm gonna snow anyway.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. But we are celebrating that with different things. Like in my case, I'm kind of going through a bit of like a spring cleaning. I really kind of feel the need to kind of get stuff done and projects that have been sitting done and out of my house and to their forever home. Also inspired just by the season and the idea of being able to make things that are fun for the season that we're living in, kind of traditional things. And even my mom celebrating what this month can bring with kind of like their reading month and being able to enjoy that for its fullest before we step into April and do a completely different.
Next month is Stitch Away Stress Month.
Stitch Away Stress. So we'll talk about that more into April. But without further ado, I hope that you enjoy this episode as we have so much to share, and we hope that you're able to get some work done on your project while you hear us ramble about ours.
If you could see behind the scenes, behind this camera, beside this camera, you would know how much we have to show you. But to begin, I am still working on the reading shawl by Ophelia Talks. I think she's calling it the Agatha's Reading Shawl. I am using Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo in the colorway Blacklight. And
show the ball first.
Yes. Look at the colors in this.
It's a very interesting array of colors.
Now I used 2 of these jumbos. I just balled it all up together, and that way if I went to Sarah's or whatever, I had all the color that I needed. And I began, and I am pretty far.
It's a blunt end shawl, so it is literally like a half of a hexagon.
Right, so it covers your back. It doesn't come down to a V. It will cover your back.
So it still has the wings that will come over your shoulders, but how it fits on your back is it's squared off instead of it being at a triangle. So it's quite satisfying because, for anyone who's had a decent sized shawl that isn't at a very intense point so that you're not having it be so long to your knees, you tend to sit on it.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but this idea makes sure that it covers your full entire back, keeps it fully warm. And it makes it so that it's not trailing on behind you.
Right. Now I do have it. It's coming down. It's coming down, but I'm planning to use as much of this yarn as I can, just to make sure that my whole back is covered.
Yeah.
And since I have it anyway, why not? And the colors are coming out in all kinds of. It is coming out like a bunch of rocks on a beach or pebbles or whatever. It is just beautiful how it's working up. And since there's 3 ways, because it comes down like this, cuts over, and then goes back up, and you're using a double crochet to do that, it's very fun to do. You have a couple of corners that you have to work, but other than that, you're just doing double crochet. Now, Ophelia Talks does add a box stitch to hers every other row or so. I chose not to do that. We do have that linked in our last week's video, so if you want to check that video out, you can. It's in last week's video. I could probably do it again for this week's video. I will try, but it's a very satisfying crochet project, and I'm thinking about doing one for Sarah and her colors. And I have some black with some red Aunt Lydia yarn to interweave into it, and I just want to see how that color combination comes out. And since it's so fun, and since it's such a nice project to work on in the springtime, I'm thinking that that's going to probably be my next project. So,
well, that works, because I know that the reason why we were pairing it with a Lydia was because you wanted to be able to see the stitches in black.
Right, when you're working with black, it's hard to see the stitches, so I always try and pair it with something else.
So, yeah.
So, what are you working on?
Okay, so...
Or what have you gotten done? That's the better question this week.
Okay, so if you can tell by my voice and my energy level, I am sick. I am not feeling the greatest, but, here we are. With that being said, my energy level to get things done has been at a very big high, and so I still took the time to get stuff done this week. And, having to kind of slow down on what I was manually cleaning out in the house. If I was being forced to sit down, I was working on something that I can get out of the house project-wise.
Yeah.
And before I hand some of these projects off this weekend, I am going to share them with you. So, last week when Mom was showing off how far she was along with her reading shawl from Ophelia Talks, I was sharing a blanket that I was inspired to make via a fiber spider, which is another content creator on YouTube that does video tutorials for various different things, wearables, blankets, and much more.
He's a good teacher, like Ophelia Talks is too.
Yes, he's very, very, very gifted in being able to show off each step without it feeling like too much, while also kind of feeling like you're crocheting along with somebody. He has a very, very nice tone of voice. I will have to say, he is very chill to listen to, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that when you have a content creator whose voice, especially if you're trying to learn, just, I don't know, it just vibes, so to speak. So before I get started, I am going to let you know what this blanket's colors and colorways are. So the blanket I'm about to show you is going to be called Virus Meets Granny blanket. I'll show you why in a minute. But the virus pattern that I will be showing you, its colorway was Red Heart Super Saver stripes in the colorway Retro. And I think I just used, for the white yarn, I think I just used a Walmart standard white. They're just a regular acrylic 4-ply worsted weight yarn. Their brand is called Mainstays, Mainstays. But really any acrylic white worsted weight yarn is gonna work just fine. And then the purple that I used, if you really want to copy what I've done, is a Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway Light Jasmine. So I'm about to show you.
This is a beautiful blanket. Very Easter-like. Very Easter-y colors.
So like I said, how I did this was that the virus pattern, so the virus pattern in this blanket is worked in a round, similar to like a granny. And that's why it has the ability to switch between the virus stitch, which is that lacy, bits, to a granny stitch quite seamlessly. Now, this is not a written pattern. This is a pattern that once you get in the groove of it, it's very easy to remember and just keep going. But it is all in his video tutorial, and it's just all you have to look up is Fiber Spider Virus meets Granny Blanket. That's all you have to look up. And that the link to that video is also in last week's video.
Yeah, in the description.
But as you can see, I started from the center, and the ombre of this colorway, just the color changing yarn, it just went so well. So it went out, and then how I did this is when you're doing this blanket, you have to do the granny and 6 rows to be able to have enough spaces with the grannies to be able to reconstruct the virus patterns, repeats for its foundation, because the virus is a 4-row repeat.
Okay.
So to be able to have enough spaces to be able to operate on that first row, you have to do 6 rows in the granny. So the way that I did that was I did the white, and then 4 rows of the light jasmine, and then the white again, and then I went back. And so I went back to the virus. And so I did 2 repeats of the virus in total from the center out, and then I did the granny 2 rows, the granny 2 rows, the granny, and because of how much yarn I had in the retro left, I only did 1 full repeat at the end. But honestly,
it looks beautiful.
It feels very delicate and nice and still well put together, and I like how it ended up kind of repeating its color selection on because of how big the blanket had spaced out and how the colorway was spaced out. You can see that it kind of like well matched with itself and spacing with each side, with how it kind of harmonized with itself, and how the repeats of those 4 rows ended up touching all the colors. So I love this blanket, and it is for someone very special. It's for a young friend in my life. She is a 7-year-old that is a friend's daughter that I call her a friend as well. Because
and she'll be 8 next month.
She'll be 8 next month, and I taught this little kid the basics in crochet just like the mom, and I actually bought this this yarn, if you remember, this a Red Heart Super Saver Stripes Retro for her for Christmas as a, hey, here you go. I can either make something for you or you can make something for yourself. I'm just giving you the material and something that I feel would inspire you. But I haven't seen her since Christmas, so I decided to make her something. And life is kind of changing a lot in that family, so I figured something that would be nice and kind of comforting. A nice hug would be a very nice gift in the end. And with Easter coming, and with her birthday being right around the corner, it just feels like this is just speaking this kid's language. Yeah, spring. So I'm very excited to be able to give this to my friend. And I think her mom will appreciate the gift as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes. Gotta think of those friends that are younger too. I have a whole bunch of, with my 2 little kids, I'm around littles a lot, and, they're just little friends. They're just,
Yep.
They are and that's not meant to be derogatory towards, people of a smaller stature. It's just young friends. I always call my kids littles. They're little mini me's. So I always call kids around me my littles.
Yep.
So my little friends. That's just so you understand my language. I'm not saying anything weird if your way of speaking or having nicknames are different. That's all I'm trying to say. So my next blanket. For those who are have been in the channel for a while, I've been on a journey with this blanket. So a very brief synopsis. I feel like this was back in either 2021, 2022. I received a commission for this blanket, and pretty much my mother-in-law just was like, found this yarn clearanced. I think it was either at Walmart or Meijer.
I thought it was Joann's.
No.
No?
She saw it at End Cap on Walmart or Meijer, and it was on clearance.
Okay.
And she found a couple skeins. And the skeins were from Lion Brand's Mandela Thick and Quick yarn in the colorway Stairwell.
Yeah.
And it was a very pretty yarn. And the reason why my mother-in-law loved it so much was because it felt like wool. And it had the consistency and texture of wool, but it was acrylic. Now, my mother-in-law is allergic to wool. So the idea that she could have like a blanket that could feel and have the weight and the texture of wool with it being acrylic was very exciting for her. So she asked, and she just also was very inspired by the colors, and so she couldn't help but buy it, and she knew that I was a yarn crafter, so she asked if I could make her something, and she gave me full liberty. She said she would buy the materials as much as I needed because there wasn't that much on the skeins. The skeins themselves, if I can remember right, only had 87 yards, and so they were only like these like little cakes
because they were a 6-weight.
Yeah, they were a 6-weight yarn. So what I did was I ended up finding a pattern. I do believe it was a Red Heart. It was from the Red Heart patterns. So Red Heart has a website, and they do have a free patterns section where you can get patterns for free by just looking on their website. And I think I kind of found it in that sort of a way. I wanted to be able to incorporate the colors and be able to show off the yarn in the best way possible. And so knowing that she wanted a blanket, I already knew that she wanted that, but with the colorway that it was, so I can show you right here, is these nice warm toned, earthy tone colors. Grays and charcoal black, and these kind of like coppery clay, and this kind of like speckled oatmeal color. It was one of those like, or off-white, and so it was one of those like I really wanted to get it right. So what I did was, it was a Red Heart mitered square pattern for a blanket that I saw. I picked up the pattern, and I can again find it, and we can link it down below again if you would like. But if you want to have some sort of a idea of how to make this blanket for yourself, this blanket was a labor of love. Like I said, I think it was like 2021 that it was asked for. By 2022 we were really getting all the materials, and I was really trying to get it all put together, but it kind of was separated in weird segments of my time because so much was going on in my life that like I could one square was like almost like 18 inches because of how thick the material was. Like 17 or 18 inches, like 17 by 17 or 18 by 18, like it was roughly around there. They were huge. And it was one of those things where it was a knitted pattern, and whereas the other one was crocheted. And I did it on circular needles. And the way that I did it, it only took like a skein and just under 2 skeins of the yarn. And so I kind of guesstimated it. She got me the amount she thought I was going to need, that I thought I was going to need, because she had to order online because she had found it on clearance. What we didn't know was that it wasn't in any store. Oh. So she had to buy the rest of it online if I was going to get it all to her in the same type, because again, she was wanting a special ordered blanket for the appearance of wool, but it had to be acrylic. She wanted this yarn, couldn't buy it in store. It was on clearance when she bought it, so she had to buy it a special ordered online. So it was a labor of love on her end to be able to purchase that sort of expensive yarn, get it to me, and then be gracious with the time that it took, because life was constantly changing the last couple of years for me. I just so much was happening, and I don't want to get into details, but with that being said, this process of making all the squares, I made 12, and then finding a yarn that would be good to border with it and pair with it, because I wanted to make it, because I wasn't going to ask her to pay for anything more if I could, because I wanted to gift this to her, and she'd already paid for so much for the yarn of the colorway, any of the main point of the square, main focal point of the blanket, that we ended up going to Hobby Lobby, and they had a acrylic yarn that was a heavier weight of yarn that felt like wool as well. And it's from their Yarn Bee line. That's called Uber Luxe, Luxe, and I did it in black. And I actually had to split the strand of yarn as it was. I had to split it all in half, from the Uber Luxe from being 4 to 2 strands, kind of like what you would do for embroidery. Yeah. Because of how thick it was, and because I was bordering each one of the blocks with crochet. I was crocheting around the blocks to border them, and that was after I'd had to block them. I had them dry, border them, and then I assembled the whole entire blanket, and that was after laying it out, figuring out how I wanted it. And then I attached it with just some regular black acrylic yarn. I didn't do any sort of special yarn for that acrylic black, because it was all bordered in black. It wasn't going to be seen. I knew it was going to be strong enough. It was going to be fine. It was going to wear fine. It was acrylic already, and it wasn't going to be seeable, so it was fine. I had enough black to do one final loop around the whole entire blanket to fully border it off, and now it's finally done. And I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. And it's very, very heavy.
It's very heavy. We weighed it, and it's over 7 pounds. It's close to 8 pounds. Yes. So if you want it to make a semi-weighted blanket, get like a Lion brand thick and quick yarn. You can make some pretty hefty blankets. Yes. Okay. There's no way that I'm going to be able to get this in one full shot, so we're going to have full spanned out images and or mini videos at the end of this video for you to see these 2 blankets. Wow. So this is the mitered square, how it looks, and this, like I said, there's no good way for me to really show it off, but I had all the mitered squares going in the same direction. It's pretty much what I'm trying to show off, and it really shows off this design so well.
Well, but I think you're on it.
Yeah, there's no good way for me to show this blanket off. I will have to show it in its full glory spread out on the floor.
I'll keep it in my lap. I'm good with that.
but I did 12 of them, and I assembled them that way. I forgot to say, with the Virus Meets Granny Square, I did that in a size J 6mm hook. I did that with this colorful one. That's what I used, a size J 6mm hook. With the with this hefty mitered square blanket, that's just huge. It's humongous. This thing is huge. Like I said, the squares themselves were like 17 to 18 inches square. And I did 3x4, so 12 total, and it's humongous and it's heavy, and I know my mother-in-law is gonna like it. I'm super excited about that.
So what hook?
But I followed, if I remember right, because I have not found my circular needles for this project yet, but I do believe I just followed the size gauge on here, because a 9mm needle for knitting, and then because I know that I followed along with the crochet, so I'm almost positive that I did what it said to do on here, because for the crocheting it wanted a 10mm hook size, and so I used that for my crocheting technique, so around it. So just so that we're clear, if you want to follow along or kind of replicate similar designs here, we again will share where our inspirations came from, how we got here, and like I said, all the materials have been shared. But yeah, I'm very excited for this labor of love to finally get to its owner. I'm kind of scared to wash it because it's so heavy. I can't imagine pulling it out of the washer. I'm thinking about putting it into a major, huge laundry bag, like an oversized laundry bag. I know it's going to kind of be jumbled up in there, but I'd rather be able to have it already be something where I can lift it up from underneath when I'm washing it right from the get-go, and then I can take it out of the laundry bag and put it in the dryer and let it tumble.
Right.
So I'm thinking about that because I want to be able to gift her this with the ability to be able to fully set her up for success.
Right.
I do have left over of this colorway, the Thick and Quick Stairwell. So I'm thinking about making her like a living room basket or something like that, with that, like a cubby basket, because it's thick enough, and if I crochet with it, it should be able to hold shape.
Yeah.
And that way it can still show off, with it being something that she can still use and is practical, just like the blanket.
Yes. Practical is good.
She told me that I could do whatever I want, because I asked her, I said, do you want matching pillows with like the miter squares? And she said she didn't care. So the last thing that I am going to share with you for this week, because I have a lot of projects. These are 2 that are done. I'm going to share one more done thing. I'm not going to share with you any of my projects are in the works this week, just because of time. You'll see them next week, whether they are fully done or just what stage in the process they're in. But to say that I am not already kind of nose deep and outside of the one I'm going to show you now, so outside of the 2 blankets and what I'm about to show you, I'm still nose deep in like 3 or 4 other projects. So I have a lot that I have either initiated, started, just finally gotten done, out of the way, done this week despite being sick. So it's been a productive week despite how crazy it is, but I'll share with you my other projects that you haven't seen yet next week in full detail. But for just some fun, and with Easter coming up, one of my favorite times of celebrating Easter was, and I feel like you can you can feel this as a kid, my mom's mom. Whenever I'd hang out with her, I didn't get to hang out with her a lot, but one of the things that she'd get me because I didn't really celebrate like very specific holidays traditionally. So like Halloween or Easter, we didn't really go on Easter egg hunts, or I didn't really go trick-or-treating, but I enjoyed the holiday treats of those times. So when I was with your mom, she, whenever we'd stop at the store, she'd always buy me, no matter what time of year it was. She would there was always these good stores that she knew how to get me candy corn.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be my treat, that and like an orange soda, and I'd get that before we would go back to her house. And she was always, she just knew, like, she gave me free reign, but just being like, I really like those candies, and I only feel like I can get them this one time a year, but I don't experience trick-or-treating, which, you know, in and of itself, it is what it is. But it was like, I wanted that treat, and so she would buy that for me all year round whenever I go see her, and whenever I could hang out with her. But when it was my other grandma, my dad's mom, she always got goodie bags made for every single holiday, so that if, you know, because we live on a really busy road growing up, there's no good way to be able to celebrate certain things in the traditional sense.
Right.
A 5-lane road, just not going to work.
Yeah.
But my grandmother would have goodie bags for both Halloween and Easter. She kind of created these goodie bags, are kind of baskets, but they're very small. And she would always have the Peeps and things like that. Now, I don't have a candy corn plushie yet. Might have to make that.
I heard that. Yet.
But this year, I did get him along to making some Peeps.
Aren't these adorable?
So I made some a chick Peep plushies, like the marshmallow plushies, and a bunny one. I do plan to make them in more colors before I celebrate Easter, and my day for celebrating Easter this year is really going to be on Saturday, the day before. But yeah, I'm really going to make these until I run out of all my safety eyes for this project. But I got this pattern off of Etsy from Kiwi Crochets. I can link, we can have the link in the description. She has a deal going where both of the patterns for her, both her bunnies and her chicks, it's a combined, and so you can get them for like $4 something. Right. Whereas the individual patterns just for the bunny or just for the chick on themselves are like $2 something each. So you kind of get it. They're not bad on their own if you just want one. Yeah. You can. It's not like it's that expensive to just choose the one. But combined, they are slightly cheaper than buying them both separately in the bundle. So I will share that. Now, she was using a 3mm hook, and obviously she has a swatch that you can make for her, just like a little square swatch that you can try to attempt her size scale. I used a 5mm hook with my regular worsted weight yarn. Excuse me. And I used my smallest safety eyes that I have. I don't actually know what the size of these are. They might be 7s or 8mm. I'm not positive. But her scale for what she was going to do was she was using a 3mm hook. So I'm thinking that she's, if I'm guessing, because I really didn't look at what she did, I just used what I had. I'm guessing she's using like a finger weight yarn. And I think her safety eye measurements was like a small 6mm, but they looked really tiny. I also suggest that if you don't want to get the safety eyes, there is another way you can do it. There is something called like puffy 3D paint that you can buy that is easy to apply in dollops, and it dries on acrylic yarn quite easily. And so if you'd prefer to do that, you can always sew them on too. Yeah. You could always even do buttons if you want to do something. some people don't prefer the safety eyes. I think that they're sturdy. Some people have had bad experiences with them, especially if you're scared about young kids. You can just sew it. That way it's just yarn that can be pulled out for safety. You can always just hot glue something on. You can use the puffy paint. Whatever floats your boat, but I'm hoping to just kind of set these out and see if people just want to take one home. It's a nice little fun treat. In my journey with my children, as being a mom, I have found that sometimes the cost of having too many sugary treats is just not worth it in the long term. Both of my kids have had dental problems, and despite our routines now that are very much better and stronger with their dental health and just even our food choices and stuff, realizing that I can create treats or offer treats that are easier on their teeth and their overall health and diet over high concentration of sugars and stuff. I still want them to be able to celebrate things like this right now when they can't have marshmallows, because marshmallows are not going to be something that they can really consume until they have their adult teeth. So I can still make things like this that still celebrate the holiday in a fun way.
And they last a lot longer.
And someday they will be able to enjoy this. I will let them experience the funness of this, but in their time. Right now, we're not there yet. And even if we do have one, I would make it small enough for them to be able to enjoy, because I can split it. But the reality is that even for outside of the kids, having something that is just fun decoration for those like me that just have the memory associated with it, being like, I didn't really get to celebrate Easter in the normal way, but I got to still enjoy the treats. This was a great thing for me to be excited for every single year. I loved my Peeps. I loved getting them every single year, especially from my grandma, which is where I normally got them from. So this was a great thing to look forward to. And so I'm having fun making them. I just made these in the colors so this was a pink that I got from Mainstays from Walmart. I don't see a color name on this, but I do believe that the number of the color unit is just 69 if you're looking to try to match my color. For the yellow, it's from Mainstays, from their Walmart acrylic brand again, and if I'm guessing right, this color is 61. Their unit 61 for this yellow color. I did the purple Peep from what I had left over from the Red Heart Super Saver of the light jasmine from the blanket I made, and I'm hoping to be able to make some other Peeps in this Mainstays in this really vibrant blue acrylic yarn, and that number will be in the 42. I'm only telling you this. I know I don't have any sample necessarily, but the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm not sure if I'm going to have any of these left over when I'm by next week, so I'd rather just share them with you now and what I hope my progress is for this project and where it's going. So I hope that this is a great inspiration for you, just for some fun projects that you can do over the holiday. Easter's such a fun time, no matter how you celebrate it. If you come from a much more Christian background where you are celebrating Resurrection Day from the story of Jesus and how we know it, to it just being a celebration of spring and it being a day to restore life, rebirth, spring, the animals are coming back, the plants are reviving, just this feeling of life is coming back. Like, what a great time of year to have not only the the story for those that might have much more of a spiritual application for rebirth and understanding the deep meanings and how it affects us and how what we get from the history and story of Jesus, to even if you're just taking it from the nature, the visuals, the how, just having it be a day that restores you spiritually, restores you mentally, restores you physically. Go out, take a walk, get some fresh air.
See the flowers.
See the flowers. Just enjoy life around you. Get revived. Enjoy yourself.
And notice all the green. Green means life.
And I also saw another little fun little saying that for Easter, that was, Easter is the one time a year that is safe to put all your eggs in one basket. And I thought that was so great.
That's wonderful.
I've been in different times in my life, and I've also had friends that in different times in their life where putting all their eggs in one basket is absolutely terrifying. And so I would encourage you that on a time of year where it can really stimulate this need to revive, like me doing my spring cleaning, reviving my house, my environment, getting things done, offering things up, spending time with family, seeing the weather change, even doing the spiritual resurrection that is this holiday for Christians. There is a sense of taking the time to just realizing that it is safe to be in a place and recognizing change and recognizing what is done.
Right.
What is over, and what you get from it. With death becomes a new stage in life. The end of something is also the beginning of something. Yep. When you're giving birth to a kid, you're no longer a person that has the ability to do things without a little kid at your hip all the time. Now you have someone that's going to be there with you all the time, that depends on you. Even when it's a family member that you love, that you don't want to see them pass, that is a new era without them, and now you have their memories that you have to live on with and learn from and take life as it is, even outside of just people, things, stuff, time, space, the season of living, this time of the year, 2024, whatever it is. Enjoy your weekend. We really enjoy you. We love you guys. Yes. We hope that you have a great Easter. We hope that our projects and where we're at has inspired you to enjoy March up until its end, with reading, with getting ready for spring, with Easter, with all the projects, with spring cleaning, with the good weather. We hope that you join us again next week. And for all those that have stayed to the very end, thank you. For those that want to see the blankets in their full glory, stay to the very, very end.
Yeah,
They'll have an expand shot. We thank you, and as always, we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.